Every movie is based on something we've already seen before. Comic books, remakes, and novel adaptations. So let me ask you something. What was the last completely original movie you have seen? You might have thought of Inside Out and maybe Ex Machina. Now let me ask you, what was the last movie that was a sequel, remake, or based on a comic book or novel? Now you're either gonna say Ant-Man, Minions, Jurassic World, Terminator Genesis, Mad Max Fury Road, and of course, Avengers Age of Ultron. What I'm trying to say is, where is the originality in movies now? Why are there so many remakes and sequels and overall movies that are based on something? This raises the question, is anyone else sick of this happening and wondering why? Well, let's find out.
My name is Brian Stewart, and I'm the Assistant Director of the Colorado Film School.
My name's Frederick Leahy. I'm the founder and director of the Colorado Film School.
My name's Aaron Kaler. I'm in my third year here at CFS.
My name is Maurice Hawes, and I'm from Denver, Colorado.
Well, several years ago, a very well-respected director named Gus Van Sant decided to do a shot-by-shot remake of Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho.
The worst remake I've ever seen would probably have to be Psycho.
And it was all pretty pointless. It really didn't add anything to the original story. It was just literally a shot-for-shot remake done in a modern format, and it really didn't have any of the suspenseful characteristics of the original.
So they had updated actors, but they made no changes in terms of what the shot structure was or anything, and I didn't understand the point of doing it.
When there's something that it's adding to the original story, if you have some sort of fresh take on it, if you have something to say rather than just stating what you've already stated. For instance, the Spider-Man franchise. Spider-Man was rebooted, about 10 years after the first one came out? Right. And the only reason studio did that is so that they could retain the rights to the Spider-Man franchise. That's my idea of a totally pointless remake.
I actually believe that it's not necessary. I always consider myself an artist first, and I feel like once you put your work out there, it takes on a life of its own. And for me, at that point, I don't want to touch it anymore.
There's that big nerd nostalgia where we read these comic books and watch these TV shows and see old movies we want to see sequels to. So we see all that stuff and we want to see it turn into a movie. Like, Marvel's one of the biggest movie companies out right now, and it's based off of comic books.
I think it's so human. Everyone wants to get more of what they love. So if you fall in love with that Batman character, you want to see more. And there's always a sense of optimism and hope that it's going to be just as good or better than the last one.
Invest money in writers.
Their business model works for them because it's a business.
There are millions of people on this planet, and thus millions of stories.
Invest money in real filmmakers with original ideas.
I feel like most Hollywood movies, they don't really step out of that box and they kind of stay in like, well, everyone wants to see comic book movies, the generic slasher horror movie, everyone wants to see this, and no one really thinks outside of that. I'd rather you have an idea that's way out there and maybe not doesn't seem that cool than you have an idea that we've seen like 100 times before. So.